How to make AI think and sound like a human. So there's this article that's been making its rounds in all of the AI groups about an experiment done where the experimenters prompted the AI to essentially have an inner monologue. And it worked an awful lot like the tree of thought, where they had a bunch of different outputs created with different contexts. And then the AI was instructed to choose the most contextually relevant response. Essentially, this simulated an inner monologue, and the outputs were superior. There's a major problem with this, though. Let's say, for example, every output offers 4 different contexts for answers. That means that your token cost goes up 4x. That's expensive. And I think there's a better way. I've referenced it a couple times, but it's because I'm totally obsessed at this point. I created this thing called a personality vector, and it works. It's awesome. Essentially what you do instead of this mini token multi-context outputs is you feed the AI variable inputs that represent personality or values in the form of a RAG database. Essentially what that means is if you're using a RAG database for knowledge, you could use a RAG database as well for personality aspects. And like I said, this has been working like crazy. Let me show you what I built, and then I'll explain some ways you can modify it and different use cases you can use with it. So I built this for LinkedIn posting, but I think I'm gonna add this to a blog writing bot too. First, it starts off with a simple form. I give it the overall topic, the topic search term, and then additional context. Then we have the system prompt. And this tells Claude, I'm using Claude 3 Opus for this one. This tells Claude that it's a digital clone of myself, and then here's some context to reference. I give it 3 examples of posts that I've written. I give it 10 examples of other people's posts and then my comments to those posts. I also give it a description of my tone and a little blurb about my values. And then I explain for every query or task that it'll be provided with personality context, expert knowledge, additional notes, and web context, and to use those to create a response in the writing style of Anthony Lee. Then the first HTTP module calls VoiceFlow to get data chunks from the personality database. This is a database that has all of my LinkedIn posts, all of my YouTube transcriptions, all of my LinkedIn comments, a whole bunch of articles I've written, just a bunch of my content. This is for the API call to Claude, the first one. And this explains these are data chunks that inform the personality, tone, and writing style. Assess them. Then I call Perplexity for the web context. I just prompt it that it's an internet researcher that searches on a topic. I put the topic from the form in there. And then this is for the next API call to Claude, telling it this is a web search on the topic. Please assess. Then I do another call to VoiceFlow, but this time to get data chunks from the expert knowledge base. And in this example, I use the behavioral economist knowledge base where I've fed it 18 different books on consumer psychology. Yet again, this is the prompt for Claude. I tell it what the data is and to please assess it. And then I give it the additional notes from the form, and then I give it the final prompt. Using the personality information, the web context, the expert knowledge, and the additional notes, please create a LinkedIn post on the given topic in the voice of Anthony Lee. And it did not disappoint. I put in the topic of making AI sound human. I figured that'd be super meta. And it gave me an excellent post that I believe sounded very much like me. Definitely took my positions into consideration. And yeah. There are other ways that you could modify that. Let's say you decide to use Relevance AI or Dante. You would put in the system prompt that step 1, whenever they're going to answer a query, run a search in the knowledge base, and then determine the feelings on the broader topic based on the data chunks they pull back. And then based on those feelings, answer the query from that position. Another way you could set this up is if you really wanted to, you could create like a Google Sheet database that had broader topics, right? Philosophy, religion, economic systems, etc., right? Just a list of broader topics in one column. And then in the other column, your position, your stance on all of those. And then for every query, for every flow, you would add that as a variable. You could just inject like a GPT module that says, here's the post that you're going to comment on, or here's the topic you're going to write a post on. Here is a list of broader topics. Choose which one of these broader topics is most relevant to this more narrow topic. And then once it chooses, you could then pull your value or your position as text into the next prompt. And this has so many different use cases, not just for social media posting, right? You could do this for customer support too. Like it's a better way to automate your customer support rather than just have a RAG bot that has access to all of your online knowledge. You could also prompt it this way, set it up this way, where it also has access to a personality knowledge base, and that'll inform in a much more realistic and better way how it responds. That's, like I said, what I call the personality vector. I think it's a less expensive and more effective way to get your outputs to sound human. Let me know what you think. Cheers.